when people
Yeah.
arrive at your doorstep or they find your information, what are some of those characteristics or behaviors or observations that you have about either wholesalers or financial professionals that would probably indicate that the work that you're doing, they probably could benefit from?
Yeah, so I'll say like one of the biggest things is I can tell a lot by when they just tell me about their experience, like of what's going on in their life. Like, oh, I should be doing this. Do you meditate? Oh, I should meditate. And there's a lot of that like should or I have to. And again, they're living this very reactionary life. Like they have no time. They just are waking up, kind of going through the motions. They're being pulled from thing to thing every day. There's no intentionality. And so what that tells me is that their whole body actually is stuck in fight or flight. Like they're stuck in a stress response. They just have chronic stress in their life. Now, the interesting thing is most high performers that I work with think that that's what has made them successful. And so this is the hard thing. While maybe yes, a little bit, it actually you're nowhere near operating what that peak performance could be if you were operating in a state of like homeostasis. And even those words like I should or I have to actually sends your body into a stress response. And so you're working against your body most of the time. And so this is why things feel really hard because you can't create from that place. You're only going to be surviving, right? You're not going to be able to thrive in that place. So that's kind of one of the biggest things I see. So I help like pull them out of that and really calm their whole system down so that they can more intentionally create.
Yeah, and I'm
I
going to
hope that makes
share
sense.
for those tuning in now on YouTube. We're taking the content to the next level here with internal use only. So we're going to be doing some sharing on YouTube. So I want to get some screen
Cool.
grabs in here. But this is Adrienne's website. Feel free to check it out. We'll link it in the show notes. These are some pillars from a 5D university that Adrienne is running. And the one that we just talked about here, Adrienne, that fascinates me is the regulation of the nervous system. So you're talking about your body being in fight or flight. Correct me if I'm wrong here. We are constantly on our devices. We are constantly being like pinged from
Mhm.
these cell phones and emails that are basically hijacking how our nervous system is regulated. Am I in the right direction, Aaron? Is that why one of those pillars here is
Totally.
so critical to your program?
Yes, totally. Again, like we can't create when your nervous system is in fight or flight, when you're in that stress response. And most high performers are just living in that chronic state of stress. And so we really need to calm that down so that you can be like calm and centered and make better decisions and yeah, just have that more intentional day even.
So we're looking now at the 5D university pillars. So can you just highlight for the audience what this program is and how they'd be able to participate if they were interested?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll quickly just explain what 5D is because people are probably like, what is that? And so the way I view the dimensions of our consciousness, which doesn't mean that there's actually like a place, it's just internally, like within ourselves. There's the third dimension, the fourth dimension, and the fifth dimension. The third dimension is the dimension of separation. That is when you believe you're separate from everyone and everything. You're separate from the results and the goals that you desire. And everything, you're the victim of reality. Everything is happening to you. You have no control. The fourth dimension is when you realize, like, oh, I can actually change myself. I can manifest. I can heal. I can um, do things to reach a goal, which is a great place to be. And it can be really empowering. But the problem is, a lot of people get stuck in that place because if you live in that dimension, there's always going to be something else to fix and change about yourself. And I know that because I've been there. And so the fifth dimension is when we transcend that and we just live in presence and we live from this place where our health and our well-being is assured. Everything that is happening to us, we know is happening for us and for our highest good. And we're not separate from everything because we understand our connectedness to everyone and to our desires. So that's kind of the premise of of the 5DU. And then yeah, we go through these six pillars. So I don't know how much in detail you want me to go, but I'll just
Maybe
quickly.
we'll do this. I'll let me
Yeah.
read them off for the audience.
Okay.
And then I will ask you not to pick your favorite because that's going to be unfair and it's not fair because this is all about balance. So every single one of
Mhm.
these may be important and may have different
Yeah.
weights depending on who you work with. But maybe I'll ask you to share an example of someone that you worked with where one of these maybe really stood out. And if there's a tie
Yeah.
to salespeople or to financial professionals, we'll go with that. But these six, if you're, again, you can check this out on YouTube if you're listening in audio only, but this will be available to visualize. Okay. So the first one is lead from the heart operating system. The second one is master your emotional technology. Third, recode the subconscious. Fourth, regulate and elevate your nervous system. Five, upgrading your identity. And six, create from the quantum field. So, with that being said, with those six, from recent coaching sessions or engagements, is there a memorable story from maybe like one of those pillars really manifesting or being a great turnaround example?
Yeah. So hard to pick one specifically, but I'll just share the one about mastering your emotional technology. So what I've learned is that most people are doing things and they're taking action from this place of they want to avoid a feeling, right? They want to avoid feeling like a failure. Maybe they want to avoid feeling guilty or avoid feeling shameful or whatever it is. So most of what they're doing is to avoid a feeling, which then means you're creating your whole life like in fear basically, and you're creating from wounds, like maybe like you feel like you need to prove yourself, you need to kind of come from this other place. And again, a lot of people are operating in that energy. I definitely was operating in that energy. I 100% was there, but I worked with this one advisor who very successful, built this very successful business. And we kind of went into this and he realized, oh my gosh, like everything I've created has been from those wounds and it's been in an avoidance of feeling like a failure. I didn't want to let my parents down. I always felt like I had to live up to a certain standard. Anyway, so he was scared to let that go, right? He thought without that he wouldn't be successful, but we shifted that around. We really got in touch with his heart, decided like, okay, what is it that you really want for your life? What do you want it to look like? And then we just shifted how he was operating, right? We got him like to feel those feelings of like, okay, what would it feel like to feel like a failure? What would it feel like to feel that shame? And in just like allowing yourself to face those feelings, they're no longer going to run you. And so then he was able to like create this business from a totally different way where he wasn't like, running around with his head cut off all the time, that he was much more calm and present. He knew what mattered. He knew where he was going. He knew the type of man, father, husband, advisor that he wanted to be. And he was able to really make that shift, which was really cool. So that's an example.
I like these stories because I do feel like a lot of what we're chatting about now, just alignment of mind and spirit and energy, is for the people out there that are they're not in a bad place particularly. Like maybe people arrive at your doorstep in a bad place. I'm not here to say
Yeah,
it's a
not
bad spot, but I
necessarily.
just get
Yeah.
the sense that high impact wholesalers, advisors, they're on paper, they're doing a lot of things well. They're making really good money. They have a nice house, probably. These things that would
Hmm.
indicate success are probably there. But there's this underlying like internal feeling of it doesn't need to be completely upended. It just needs to be directionally shifted slightly.
Totally.
Just get the gears moving so that maybe they're more aligned. Would you agree with that?
100%.